had that moment of clarity where you look at your life and ask yourself, why do I do everything to keep it from moving forward? You want to succeed, but you show up late to the interview. You want to be healthy, but you eat what you shouldn't. You want a solid relationship, but you look for arguments. It's not bad luck. It's not laziness. It's you. You putting sticks in your own wheels. That's called self-sabotage. And what's disturbing is that you don't do it on purpose. It's as if a part of you is working against yourself. Why? Why do you sabotage yourself? The answer is surprising. It's not because you're weak, it's because you're afraid. And today, we're going to understand that fear, and we're going to see how to stop hurting yourself.
Emma, this topic hurts because I recognize myself so much. 2 years ago, I had an incredible opportunity, a promotion at work. I just had to prepare a file and present it to the director. I knew it was important, and what did I do? The night before, instead of going to bed early, I stayed up watching a series until 2 a.m. The next day, I was tired. I stammered. I forgot important numbers. I didn't get the promotion. Afterwards, I thought, why did I do that? I wanted that promotion. But my behavior ruined everything. It's as if I didn't really want to succeed.
What you're describing is a classic case of self-sabotage. You were afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid of succeeding and having more responsibilities? Afraid of failing and having proof that you're not up to it? By staying up late, you created an excuse for yourself. A ready-made excuse. Anyway, I was tired. It's not my fault. Self-sabotage is often a way to protect yourself. You prefer to fail because of a behavior you control, not sleeping, rather than risk failing because of your skills not being good enough. It's a defense mechanism. But this mechanism prevents us from moving forward.
But that's not the only time. I sabotage myself all the time. For example, I want to save money, and I make unnecessary purchases. I want to lose weight, and I eat a cake. I want to be more organized, and I put off my work until the last minute. It's as if I have two people inside me, one who wants to move forward and one who does everything to stay where I am.
That's exactly it. There's a part of you that I call the comfort guardian. This part is afraid of change, afraid of the unknown, afraid of failure, even afraid of success. Because success is an unknown. So the guardian uses strategies to keep you in what you know. These strategies are your sabotages. Sometimes it's procrastination. You wait until the last minute so that if you fail, you can say, I didn't have enough time. Sometimes it's perfectionism. You don't start because it will never be perfect. Sometimes it's distraction. You drown yourself in social media so you don't think about what you should be doing. Sometimes it's provocation. You say something hurtful so the relationship ends before you get dumped. All these behaviors have one thing in common. They protect you from something. But what they protect you from is often an illusion. The fear of failing is stronger than the desire to succeed. And as long as you don't understand this fear, the guardian will keep winning.
How do I understand this fear? Because in the moment, I don't feel fear. I just feel tired or tempted or distracted.
Imagine you're driving a car. You want to move forward, you press the accelerator. But the car doesn't move, or it barely moves. You wonder why. The problem is you forgot to release the handbrake. Self-sabotage is that handbrake. You press the accelerator with your willpower, but an invisible force holds you back. That handbrake is fear. But fear you don't clearly feel. It's buried, automatic. To release the brake, you first need to know it exists. You need to look under the hood. You need to ask yourself, what exactly am I afraid of? Afraid of not being up to it? Afraid of being judged? Afraid of losing control? Afraid of no longer having excuses? When you identify the fear, you can start to face it. And often, by facing it, it becomes smaller. Because fear grows in the shadows. When you shine a light on it, it diminishes.
When I realize I'm sabotaging myself, I try to force myself. I tell myself, come on, stop this nonsense, focus. But it doesn't last long. After a while, I fall back.
That's the most common mistake. We think the solution to self-sabotage is more willpower, but willpower is like the accelerator. If the handbrake is on, pressing harder on the accelerator won't help. It will just wear out the engine and tire you out. The real solution is to release the brake, to understand and diffuse the fear. Forcing yourself is ignoring the message of the sabotage. The sabotage tells you, watch out, something is wrong. If you ignore it and force it, it will just find another way to block you. It will become more creative. So instead of forcing yourself, stop. Ask your sabotage, what are you trying to tell me? What are you trying to protect? Sometimes the answer is surprising. The sabotage might be trying to protect you from shame, judgment, pressure. Once you've heard the message, you can reassure that part of yourself. You can tell it, I understand your fear, but I'm going to act anyway. And if it doesn't work, it won't be the end of the world.
Has science studied this strange behavior?
Yes. There's a concept in social psychology called self-handicapping. It was studied by researchers like Burgess and Jones. The idea is simple. When you're afraid of failing, you create an obstacle for yourself to have a ready-made excuse. For example, a student will go out the night before an exam instead of studying. That way, if they fail, they can say, it's because I went out, not because I'm stupid. If by some miracle they succeed, they can say, I succeeded without even studying. I'm so smart. Self-handicapping protects self-esteem, but at what cost? The cost is that you never give your best. You never really know what you're capable of. There's also confirmation bias. Your brain looks for evidence of what it believes. If deep down you believe you don't deserve to succeed, you'll interpret every small obstacle as confirmation. And you'll even create obstacles. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Neuroscience shows that the pathways of self-sabotage are well-worn neural connections. Every time you sabotage yourself, you strengthen the pathway. But the good news is, you can create a new pathway. By stopping the sabotage, by acting differently, you create new connections. At first, the new pathway is narrow, difficult. The old pathway is wide, easy. But the more you take the new one, the wider it becomes, and the more you let the old one close up.
What do the authors you quote say about self-sabotage?
James Clear in Atomic Habits doesn't talk about self-sabotage directly, but he says something very useful. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Self-sabotage is often a poorly designed system. If you sabotage yourself, it's not because you're weak. It's because your environment or routines push you towards sabotage. Change the system, and the sabotage decreases. Carol Dweck, with her mindset work, explains that people with a fixed mindset are more prone to self-sabotage. Why? Because for them, failure is a threat to their identity. They prefer to create an excuse rather than risk proving that they're worthless. People with a growth mindset see failure as information. They don't need to sabotage themselves, because even if it fails, they learn. Tony Robbins has a famous phrase, "Change happens when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of changing." As long as your self-sabotage protects you from a pain you consider greater failure, judgment, you won't change. You need to realize that the pain of sabotaging yourself, the frustration, missed opportunities, low self-esteem, is greater than the pain of risking failure.
Let me give you another example. In my love life, I do the same thing. As soon as someone is really interested in me, I find flaws. I become cold, distant. I look for excuses to stop. At first, I thought it was because I wasn't interested. But now I wonder if I'm not sabotaging myself to avoid committing, to avoid the risk of being hurt.
That's very common. The fear of abandonment or betrayal pushes you to leave before you're left. You prefer to be the one who leaves rather than the one who is left behind. It's a classic relational sabotage. The question is, do you want to continue protecting yourself this way, or do you want to learn to trust and take the risk? Sabotage protects you in the short term, but it leaves you alone in the long term.
I don't want to be alone, but I'm so afraid of suffering.
Then you need to reassure the part of you that is afraid. Tell it, I understand you want to protect me, but I'm going to try a new strategy. I'm going to open up a little, not completely. I'm going to take a small risk, and if it hurts, I'll be there to handle the pain. Sabotage doesn't disappear in one day, but you can reduce it by listening to it and negotiating with it.
I need a concrete method to stop sabotaging myself. Not big speeches, actions.
Here's an 8-step method. I call it the sabotage method. S. Spot the sabotage. As soon as you do something that goes against your goals, stop. Don't move on. Tell yourself, watch out, I'm sabotaging myself. Give it a name. That's the procrastination sabotage. That's the perfectionism sabotage. Recognizing it is already reducing it. A. Accept the fear without judgment. Don't tell yourself, I'm stupid for doing this. Tell yourself, there is a fear behind this sabotage. What is it? Fear of failing? Fear of succeeding? Fear of judgment? Fear of not being loved? Find the fear. Write it down. B. Break the routine. Sabotage is a habit. To break the habit, do something different. If you feel like watching a series instead of working, stand up and drink a glass of water. If you feel like sending a mean message, take 10 breaths. One small different action can break the automatic pattern. O. Opt for a small commitment. Don't try to change everything at once. Tell yourself, I'll do just 5 minutes of what I'm avoiding, 5 minutes of work, 5 minutes of listening, 5 minutes of exercise. Sabotage is afraid of big commitments, but it often accepts small ones. T. Transform your inner speech. Instead of I'm useless, I'm going to fail, say I'm going to try, and whatever happens, I'll learn. Instead of it has to be perfect, say done is better than perfect. Change the words, and you change the fear. A. Accustom yourself to failure. Self-sabotage is afraid of failure, so get used to failure. Do small things where you might fail. Send a message that might not get a reply. Do an exercise you're not good at. By getting used to failure, it loses its power. G. Get a witness. Talk about your sabotage to someone you trust. Say, I tend to sabotage myself in such and such situation. Next time, I'm going to try to do differently. Can you ask me how it went? The other person's gaze helps you stay accountable. E. Experiment without perfection. You're not going to stop sabotaging yourself overnight. Sometimes you'll relapse. That's okay. The important thing is to start again. Every time you don't sabotage yourself, You vote for a new identity.
I recognize myself in several types of sabotage. For example, I sabotage myself by always putting off important things. I also sabotage myself by being too demanding with myself, which blocks me. How do I handle each case?
Let's detail the main scenarios. Scenario 1. Procrastination as sabotage. You put off, until it's too late. The fear behind it, fear of doing badly, fear that the result won't be good enough. Solution. Break the task into very small actions. I'm not going to do the report. I'm just going to write the title. Once started, the fear often diminishes. Scenario 2. Perfectionism as sabotage. You don't start because it will never be perfect. The fear of judgment, fear of imperfection. Solution. Give yourself permission to do ugly. Tell yourself, I'm going to make a version 0, a messy draft. Most of the time, the draft isn't that messy, and you can improve it. Scenario 3. Distraction as sabotage. You drown yourself in screens, social media, series. The fear of boredom, fear of confronting your thoughts. Solution. Set a limited time for distraction, then a limited time for work. I'll watch a 10-minute video, then work for 10 minutes. Alternating reduces pressure. Scenario 4. Provocation as sabotage. You say or do something to make others react negatively, to make them go away. The fear of intimacy, fear of being abandoned later. Solution. Before provoking, breathe and ask yourself, what is my real need? Sometimes it's just a need for attention. You can then say it calmly. Scenario 5. Sacrifice as sabotage. You forget yourself for others. You don't take care of yourself. Then you burn out and give up everything. The fear of disappointing, fear of being selfish. Solution. Learn to say no little by little. Start with low-stakes refusals. No, I can't come to that party. Your self-esteem won't collapse.
Deep down, I feel like sabotage is part of me. I've always defined myself as someone who sabotages themselves. If I stop sabotaging myself, who am I?
That's a deep question. The identity of saboteur is comfortable in a way. It gives you a ready-made excuse. I didn't succeed, but it's not my fault. It's my sabotage. But this identity limits you. It tells you that you can't change. Yet you can change. You are not your sabotage. You are the person who observes the sabotage. You are the person who chooses, sometimes, not to follow it. And every time you don't sabotage yourself, you create a new identity. Someone who acts despite their fear. This identity is truer than the old one. Because the old one was based on protection mechanisms, not on who you really are. James Clear says, your identity is the result of your habits. If you change the habit of sabotage, you change your identity. It's not instant, but it's possible. Every small step counts.
Emma, this conversation opened my eyes. I'm not useless or lazy. I'm someone who is afraid and who learned to protect themselves by sabotaging themselves. But this protection costs me more than it brings me. I want to learn to do differently.
Then remember this, George. Why do I sabotage myself? Because a part of you is afraid. Afraid of failing, afraid of succeeding, afraid of being judged, afraid of being hurt. But fear is not a bad advisor. It's a bad master. Listen to your fear, but don't obey it. Recognize the sabotage. Accept the fear, and choose one small different action. You don't become courageous by not being afraid. You become courageous by acting despite the fear. It's not you who sabotages your success. It's a part of you that wants to protect you. thank it, reassure it, and move forward anyway. Little step by little step, you release the chains of sabotage. One day, you'll wake up, and you won't recognize your old self because you will have learned to move forward without putting sticks in your own wheels. The road is clear. Now it's your turn to walk.
I'm going to start today. I'm going to spot a sabotage, accept the fear, and do one small different action. Not to be perfect, but to move forward.
Do that. And remember, every step without sabotage is a victory, even a tiny one.
And that's everything for today's episode. If this helped you, subscribe to the channel and like the video so you don't miss the next one. Take care, and see you next time.